Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement that you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
Attention all basketball fans. CMG Sports presents the Posting Up Podcast, where Lucas Boldick, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay discuss the latest news and topics throughout the NBA. So, if you have a love for basketball, make sure you check out the Posting Up Podcast, live every Tuesday and Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also available for download on every podcast platform.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jace, Clover Crest, top three corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut, got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing, counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is throwing jabs.
What's going on, fight fans? It's Big Jace, Jared Jones, and we're joined by Riley Pride, Barrett Valdez. What's going on, fellas?
Chilling. You? How you guys feeling?
Doing good, my man.
Ready to talk. We don't got any fights to talk about, but don't worry. I got you guys covered. We got something fun in store. The Who You Got Pound for Pound tournament. So what I did, I took the top 4 pound for pound female fighters and male fighters from UFC.com and BoxRec, bracketed it out, and we're going to see who is the top current pound for pound fighter in all of combat sports. Then this is a little dipping my toe in the water to set something up for March Madness, where we'll have a bigger bracket and we'll do the all-time pound for pound. But that's what I got planned. So let's start things off. Let's get going. Let's start with the women's boxing. According to BoxRec, pound for pound number 1 is Delphine Persoon, which I think is ridiculous. Her only 2 losses are to Katie Taylor, but somehow Persoon's ahead of Katie Taylor in the BoxRec pound for pound. But her going up against Michaela Meyer, young up-and-comer. Jared, what do you think of this matchup, and who is the better pound for pound fighter?
This one is tough. I think you have to take Meyer because you don't know her ceiling. Persoon's lost 3 fights, 2 of them to Katie Taylor's. One of them was really close. But I think you got to take Michaela Meyer here. She's the unknown. She's undefeated. She's got her last 3 fights, really, really good, solid wins. And it's the one you want to see. Persoon lost twice to Katie Taylor. Like, do we want her going further onto this list when there's an undefeated fighter right there with her? You want to see Persoon Taylor 3? No. I'm taking Mayer just because she's undefeated. We don't know the ceiling. I feel like we got a pretty good idea what Pursune's ceiling is. And she shouldn't be ranked ahead of Katie Taylor on that.
Well, no, I agree with you. I think it's Katie Taylor and everyone's fighting for second. So I'm just throwing it out there. Do that information as you will. I disagree. I'm gonna go Delphi only because of that unknown. Like, I don't like the unknown. I don't. You know, like, for all we know, man, she could be the greatest of all time, right? She could be, if you got Clarissa Shields, you combine her with Amanda Nunes, give the IQ of Floyd, the hand speed of Manny. She could be the GOAT. She could. But she could also be a Danny Garcia. A dude who has potential and just cherry picks to look like he's nice. Let's be honest. Like, we don't really know. So just for that, I'm going to go. But the potential, Michaela, it's there. I'm very curious to see how she looks in the upcoming years. And I understand, you know, Delphi, she lost to Katie Taylor twice. I get it. But when Katie Taylor is right now, in my opinion, and Jared, I think you kind of agree with me. When Katie, in terms of the women's boxing, she is the pound for pound number one. There's just the fact that she's not, that's just robbery. And losing to her twice, I'm not going to knock her for that. Kind of the same thing, like, no one really knocks Deontay Wilder for losing to Tyson Fury twice. We don't knock him. Yeah. We still think, yo, you're a good heavyweight. You're still a main attraction. You can still draw in money. You're just not that guy. And that's kind of what I look at here. So for all those, I'm going to go with Delphine.
All right.
This is one of the ones I'm okay with that I don't feel like there's really a right answer.
Right.
No. I'd like Seniesa Estrada and Clarissa Shields, of course, to get honorable mentions. I think Estrada is the Inoue of female boxing.
Ooh.
This girl's serious. Seniesa Estrada is a name to remember.
All right.
She will be on this list in another year or two. She's a $105, but she's, like I said, the Inoue of the female boxing world.
All right. If to round it off for the tournament, I'm the deciding vote now. But if
tread carefully, Jace. Tread carefully.
If taking one judge's scorecard puts you at number one pound for pound against Katie Taylor, she was the only person to take a judge's scorecard against Katie Taylor, and she's pound for pound. So shouldn't Katie Taylor be pound for pound? That's ridiculous. I do. Yeah, it's just right. It's a solid boxer in the right division. I mean, in the wrong division with someone who's completely great. We talk about the Brian Ortegas. There's that one person ahead of the everyone else, but they can't get past the top of the division in Katie Taylor. So, like, I'm not gonna take anything away from Pursoon, but yeah, Michaela Mayer, she just has that. I'm gonna take that bright side in terms of pound for pound, because I mean, who knows? We might have an even bigger star in the making if things play out certain ways. And Pursoon, granted, while today in boxing, especially in female boxing, having those losses, you can't continue to grow. And so I'm going Michaela Mayer Michaela Mayer moving on to the next round to take on the winner of Amanda Serrano and Katie. This is, I talk a lot about Khabib and Usman. This is my female boxing version of that. I don't think we're ever gonna get this fight, but I mean, I want it so bad. I want to see these two, and I think Serrano with her. I hate how she's got the paws behind her because working with that Triller stuff. But I mean that's great marketing, and that's what women's female boxing needs right now is someone like that. Someone a face, a like pop culture face rather than. I mean, Katie Taylor is the face of actual boxing, but I think Serrano can do that, and I want to see these two ladies. And if they do square off, Katie Taylor just taking a little bit of that rub of the spotlight, I would love to see that. If And this is my dream fight. I mean, I think it's Katie Taylor through and through, but I don't want to disrespect Serrano that much. So, Jared, what you got? You're muted, brother.
I'd like to see these guys in different brackets, these ladies in different brackets, so that this could be our second round fight. But you've got to take Katie Taylor here. She's a little bit bigger. She's a little bit better. Amateur pedigree. On paper, everything screams Katie Taylor here.
Yeah, I mean, it's again if you just look at it, whatever she can do, Katie Taylor, she just does it better. It's just like Jared said, on paper she does everything better. Her movement is better. Her angles are better. Everything is better. When I say angles, I mean punch angles, and in terms of angles and when she's in the ring, everything is just better. So, like I said, I'm Katie Taylor. She's soloing all the boxing. Let's just get that out of the way. She's soloing all the boxing.
Well, and
she might be Floyd.
If you look at her struggling with Jonas, it was the size.
Right.
And she's not necessarily going to have that problem with Serrano.
That's what I'm saying. Like, like for her,
it just struggles with her bigger.
Yeah, well, I mean, but who won't? For the most part, anyway. You know what I mean? So
Loma and Lopez is my favorite example of that. You got just a little bit bigger guy. He's not a better boxer. He's not a better. Right. He's not doing any of the stuff better. He's just there's a reason every 7 pounds we get a new weight class.
Exactly. So Katie Taylor is soloing everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, but can the upside of Michaela Meyer in her future knock off Katie Taylor? No. The GOAT. The female GOAT of boxing right now, Katie Taylor.
You have to, but this is the fight to see. Honestly, Meyer can get up past these other. This is the fight you want to make. I like it.
Yeah. It'd be great.
The right size, too.
I don't think she does it. I don't think so. I don't think Michaela can do it. However, I will give her respect in this aspect. It won't be domination. It would be close. I'm talking about it would be. Don't even be surprised if you see a split decision. Don't be surprised if you see something like that. I don't think, but I just wholeheartedly believe right now. I said it before. I say it always. And if anyone watches any type of women's boxing whatsoever, Katie Taylor right now is just, unfortunately, for everyone else, just better.
Until I see something different.
Right. Until I see it, then we'll have this conversation. But as of now, Katie Taylor is just better.
Yeah. We don't know Michaela Mayer's ceiling, but if she fights Katie Taylor, we're sure as hell gonna find out.
We'll find out real quick whether or not we could put money on her. Now we'll find out real quick. Sure. And I have enough faith in her where I think she'll put up a fight, but I still got Katie Taylor.
Dude, I don't think it's necessarily Michaela Mayer finding her ceiling. I think just Katie Taylor is the ceiling, regardless to everyone.
The measuring stick for these other girls. Yep.
But all right. So we have in our first Final Four competitors, Katie Taylor. Now let's see who she'll be matching up against as far as women's UFC. Let's start off with Thug Rose versus Amanda.
Can I just say one thing real quick? Can I just say one thing about this bracket? You just did the most NCAA thing possible.
What do you mean?
You'll find out. When we get there, you'll find out. But you did the most NCAA thing possible, Jared. You know what I'm talking about. Wow. Jared, do you see it?
16-1.
But go ahead, Jared. Go ahead. Or Jace. Go ahead, Jace.
All right. I mean, okay. Thug Rose versus Amanda Nunes. Jared, who you got?
I can't with this side of the bracket, man. This is crazy. this is bananas right here because you got Thug Rose who just did the high kick on Wei Li. Like this is somebody. This is a hero of mine. I'm the best. I love Rose.
Oh my God!
And
When she
how
finally started
can
screaming
you
that, I was
pound
excited.
for pound move on Nunes after the ass whooping she just take to Pena? And how can we take Pena that seriously? It's like the problem I have with this side of the bracket is you have one recent fight that changes everything.
Yes.
Nunes and Pena didn't just fight. This is easy. It's Nunes and Shevchenko, and I'm taking Shevchenko based on the weight because it's a pound for pound bracket. We've had that conversation before. But after that fight, do I really want to take Nunes over Rose? And can I really say that Shevchenko over Pena? Can I? Yikes! I want Rose.
Nah, man. Look,
You're only as good as your last fight in this game. Thug Rose.
And I understand that, but let's not pretend like Amanda had a horrible fight. It's not that Amanda did anything wrong. It was Juliana Pena did something we've never seen anybody do. Round 2, she stood in the middle of the octagon, and she took everything Amanda could give, and she returned some back. It's nothing Amanda did wrong. It was just everything Pena did right. So I'm going to take Amanda. Again, I love Thug Rose, but at the same time, I'm not letting one loss, that, frankly, it's not Amanda's fault, just more along the lines of Pena stepping up. If we're going to be honest, if I'm going to take all that into consideration, I'm still putting I'm taking Amanda over Thug Rose.
See, that's a problem. And then you got to put your foot in your mouth in the next fight.
What do you mean?
Well, Pena Shevchenko.
See, that right there is where I'm concerned. That right there, that's where I'm torn.
Because then you got to turn around and make the opposite argument, right?
No, it's not the opposite argument. Because the thing is when it comes to, because for this bracket, like you said, based off of the fight, do I take Amanda over Rose? Yes. However, as much as I love Rose, or not Rose, as much as I love Amanda, I believe she's my GOAT overall. Not women, she's my GOAT. I think she should be in the pound for pound list. Like, that's how much I love her. But I don't think coming off that loss she'll be better than Valentina. And you can't put her over the girl who just beat her. So even though I have Amanda over Rose, whoever I make up my mind regarding Valentina, because I still have it, Valentina and Nunes and Pena, they're gonna be above her. So
Rose Mandy.
Listen.
Jace.
I have been very vocal about Amanda Nunes being. I had her at my number one pound for pound, but then you lost to Juliana Pena, and that's a harsh loss in my eyes. Juliana Pena, I feel like I don't want to say she's very kind of like Ronda Rousey, but like just has that one trick, the rear naked choke. She's great, but I think that's her only real avenue to victory. Like Ronda Rousey's was, she was going to armbar you. She's really good at getting it and securing it. And when she gets you in it, you're done. But I just think eventually people will catch on. So I don't see Juliana Pena having this big stand with the belt. And I gave Amanda Nunes a lot of respect for having 2 belts. But now she only has 1. And Rose, she beat another GOAT. Let's not forget Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Let's not forget how dominant she was against her. And Jędrzejczyk she was another before Rose came along. She was in there. She was in this conversation of women's GOAT, pound for pound. So I think Rose and Wei Li as well. People talking about her creeping up the pound for pound ranks, and then Rose just shut her up. I think I'm gonna go Rose. Rose is moving on.
Man,
Rose is moving on.
That's crazy. Amanda loses one time.
Last fight. Yeah, well, go ahead now. Let's start with you, Pride, on the next one. Who do you like, Pena Shevchenko?
Holy God! Go. So I want to say Pena so bad. I want to. but I'm gonna go Valentina.
Because you're not allowed. This is exactly what I was saying.
No.
You're not allowed to say Pena after you just said
No.
one fight.
No.
One fight can't
No.
distinguish your career. You
No.
just said in the last one fight cannot distinguish a career, and you picked Amanda Nunes. You cannot now turn around and pick Juliana Pena.
And that's why I'm
I
going
know.
Valentina Shevchenko.
Yes, because based on what you just said, you kind of can't go Pena. And this fight already happened, by the way.
Jace, I'm getting
Thank
yelled
you,
at for
Tony.
showing consistency. He's yelling at me for showing consistency. He's yelling at me. I need to. Where is your HR representative? Where's your HR representative? But look, I mean, look. The whole thing is, look. I like I said, I love Pena, and for the longest time, it was Amanda was number 1, and Valentina was number 2. Right? So it's like. I get Pena 1, but I don't know. Does that automatically vault you up to number 1? Especially considering, like Tony said, Shevchenko beat Pena. So does that kind of factor into it a little bit? Maybe. The way I'm looking at it based on what have you done, and in like a year stretch. Shevchenko, in terms of women's, has had a top 3 year in all the promotion. It's either Amanda, you can put Rose in there, or Valentina. Now, if you want to throw another name, I'm willing to entertain the idea, But in terms of women's in the UFC women's division, those are the top 3 years, the top 3 best performances of the entire year, right? And it's like, let's be honest. Do we like Pena? Yeah, we do. And did she beat Amanda? Yeah. Does that one win negate everything Valentina did when she was number 2? And like I said, I'm not going to – all I'm saying, bro, I'm not knocking somebody based on one fight. Amanda's still my GOAT. That's my GOAT. Jared, don't yell at me. Jace,
I appreciate the consistency is all I was saying. Now, you go Pena there, we got an issue.
Nah. Because listen, I like Pena. And maybe if she has a nice run and we do this again next year, maybe we have a completely different conversation. Maybe we do. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna put her pound for pound based on, especially in a world where John Jones was number 1 for how long without fighting? Like, you know what I mean? Like
GSP stuck around way too long on that list too.
Like, what are we doing? And like, come, like, honestly, bro, like, what are we doing, man?
Oh,
yeah,
and
I'm going Valentina.
This is a slam dunk just based on historical reference and body of work. Let's say Shevchenko. You're only as good as your last fight, yes, but body of work, I'm giving Shevchenko the edge over Pena all day. And she beat her already.
Do you think with this changing of the guard, Shevchenko could go back up and just take care of business again?
Possibly. But Pena's advantage.
Because she has nothing left to do at Pena at strawweight. Like, I mean, Shevchenko, my bad.
Shevchenko, yeah. If Pena's got a chance to beat her, it's because they're at a bigger weight class. If these two fight at 150, I like Pena. It's just the way the game works. So I think Pena has a better chance at fly than straw.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, all right, now this is going to be fun. Valentina Shevchenko versus Thug Rose Namajunas.
You almost said Lomachenko.
Namachenko.
Let's go.
My wife tried to say Democrat and Republican at the same time and said Dominican last night. Republicrats and Dominicans.
Oh my God, that's funny.
This one, Shevchenko, too. Same reason. Jace, body of work. Love Rose, but it's heart versus mind here, and I have to go with my mind. That's making the rational decision and saying Shevchenko.
Yeah, I'm going Shevchenko.
Mama Juna.
it's again, I like Rose, I do, but again, Valentina Shevchenko, she was number 2 for the longest, and she was only second to Amanda Nunes. And it's literally only fair with her continuing to win and Amanda losing. It's only fair to put Valentina up at 1. It's literally only fair. Let's just, you know what I mean? We got to be honest. I like Rose, but let's also keep it in context. When the fight's not going Rose's way, she tends to give up. I don't care what anyone says. That rematch against Zhang Weili, she lost. I don't care what anyone says. And I will go to my deathbed screaming that Zhang Weili was robbed. She was robbed. I will go to my deathbed. Jared, you can get mad at me all you want. You can yell at me. All right?
No.
Listen, I got Joe's number.
I just disagree.
I got Joe's number, so I'll call HR so quick, brother. But, again, I like Rose, but when things get a little rough, she kind of goes in this shell. And that's something she kind of needs to knock off. Now, she's doing better with that. But I don't know, man. Her versus Valentina, any weight? I don't know, man. We're going to be seeing some Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena odds over there, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Shevchenko.
Yeah. But, all right, Shevchenko's moving on. I will throw Rose a pity vote from the heart. I love Rose. But also, Shevchenko faced a possible GOAT in Amanda Nunes before. She lost. Rose faced a possible pound-for-pound GOAT in Joanna Jędrzejczyk and beat her.
So can I ask you a question?
I'm just saying.
Who's better, Joanna Jędrzejczyk or Amanda Nunes?
I think at the height of each, Jędrzejczyk was better as far as pound for pound speaking.
That's close.
Like just the technical striking.
I don't know, brother. I don't know about that, man. I don't know.
I might give Nunes the edge, but that one's closer than you want it to be.
You think it's really that close, Jared?
She was a dominant fighter. I think people are quick to forget, like Rousey gets knocked out a few times, and you're quick to forget that might have been the scariest, most dominant combat sports individual since Tyson. I mean, we just forget that with these rises and falls, Nunes, it's easy to forget. It's easy to just move on. Lopez just did it. Teofimo, where it's easy to just go, not what we thought he was, and move on. Is the other guy spectacular? Did Lopez have an off night? Comboses? Is he that good? We don't get to know. We're gonna have to see Pena and Nunes fight some more. But that night, some fireworks.
All right.
And this is Shevchenko.
Yeah. So we have Shevchenko and Katie Taylor in the Final Four. We'll get to that. But let's fill out the rest of it. UFC, Kamaru Usman, number 1 pound for pound against the heavyweight, the big hitter, the predator, Kamaru Usman. Pride. Who you giving it to?
Hear me out. Is it in the realm of possibility that the fight that we saw against Stipe, that Francis, is it possible that's the Francis we're going to get? Now, that big question mark, that's a big question mark, and I'm scared.
It's a steep hill to climb.
Yeah, I like that one. That was a good one. Like that is kind of the linchpin to me. Now, I'm going to go Usman because I already know the answer to it. But with Francis, I think it potentially could be close. Because if Francis is working on his ground game and he keeps his composure, oh my God. Oh my God. But again, I don't know. And we gotta take into consideration too, and Tony said it too. Usman was in his corner. He was in Ngannou's corner when he fought Stipe. So is it the Usman effect? Maybe Francis learned how to calm himself. Who knows? Those are two big question marks. I don't know whether or not we'll see it, we'll see it perfectly when he fights Cyril Gane, because we know Gane. You know, he's gonna take the floor.
We're gonna find out.
Or I call him Gane. I call him that because he looks like Jonathan Crane from Batman. The Scarecrow. He low-key looks like him, so I call him Gane, right? But if he can stop Cyril Gane from hitting him to the ground and he can keep his composure, this conversation is flipping. But until I see that consistency, I know what I have in Usman, so I'm gonna go Kamaru.
Yeah, me too. This is all day double dare Usman. Like Tony's comment there, most well-rounded male UFC fighter today since the retirement of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Gano's a little rough around the edges, and I don't think he beats Gane. Me neither. I've said for years, Cyril Gane's going to come in here and be the heavyweight champion. Now, all of that said, whenever I get to pound-for-pound lists, I'm going to err on the side of skill, technique, and if I can't tell, it's the smaller guy because he's got less pounds. So the math equation is going to work out easier for the smaller guy. I'm taking Usman here. Pound for pound, we're talking about taking how many pounds off of Ngannou's frame? 100? And then we're going to have him fight Usman. Good luck. Good luck.
No,
we're going to put another 100 pounds on Usman and let him fight Ngannou. Whichever one you want to do, I think it's a bad night for Francis.
But I'm with you there. I got Usman moving on because of that. I mean, when you're talking pound for pound. But the thing is Francis has the hardest recorded punch in science. So even if you take as much weight as you want, he's still going to be hitting a lot harder than other welterweights.
Way harder.
Oh, yeah.
And remember,
if you get caught, your conscience is in Ngannou.
And this is the same Ngannou who broke Alistair Overeem's neck. Let's just keep that in context, bro. With him with that uppercut, it was like, oh my God, I thought he died.
That's like what that is.
And then every time I see that fight, I just shake my head and remember freaking Alistair Overeem. I just shake my head and I'm just like,
you know the little dude, he looked like, the little guy that stands up and you push the button and he falls down like he's like this. And you push the button and he...
No!
And his back falls.
No!
Dude, when he fell, it looked like somebody pushed that little button and all the straightness in him just went...
Oh, God. Jeez.
Oh, my Lord.
It was
brutal.
Whatever was holding him up just disappeared and crumbled.
If it was a puppet, all his strings got cut.
All right. So who will be facing Kamaru Usman? Israel Adesanya, the last style bender himself, or Alexander the Great Volkanovski? Jared?
This is another chance for people to really get on me here if you want to, because I'm going to take Adesanya. These guys already fought. Volkanovski beat him, but if they were the same size, let me give you a great example. Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez, pound for pound. It's Loma. If those guys are built the same size, Loma beats Lopez 10 times out of 10. And I think the same is true here, that if you make these guys the same size, Adesanya is a little bit better. And that the reason Volkanovski was able to win was just bone density and muscle mass stuff. He didn't look like he was outstriking, pinpointing. Give you another great example. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. McGregor's landing those punches to somebody his size, and I'm not a McGregor fan. I want a Diaz to win. Love Nate Diaz. Can't stand Conor McGregor. If he's landing those punches to those areas to somebody his size, has a little bit of a difference. No disrespect to Nate Diaz's chin. But here we are again, Adesanya, a little bit smaller, doing everything a little bit better and getting beat by a bigger guy, Loma Lopez. I'm taking Adesanya here, and that's I don't mind catching flack for it. I would understand why if I caught some trash for this one, but I'm taking Adesanya.
you're not going to really take I disagree. I think it's Alexander Volkanovski. I refer to him as an effing savage, a dude who can get out of 2 deep submissions and not panic and be calm, cool, and collected. I got tremendous respect for. He made Brian Ortega literally look like an unranked jobber. He made Brian Ortega, no disrespect to him, but he made Brian Ortega literally look like he should retire. He looked like BJ Penn when Dana White was out there saying, yeah, bro, he's never fighting again. Did you see that? Like, let's be honest. You know? I haven't seen that from Israel Adesanya. I haven't. And again, I'm not even going to bring up the fact that Alexander Volkanovski beat him. I'm not going to bring that up because, you can make the argument
it's a good part of the argument.
Yeah, but the thing is if you're going to be honest, you could have a valid point. It could be just the fact that Volkanovski just was bigger. You could make that argument, right? But grappling, I don't know, man. I don't know if Adesanya can do it or hang with Volkanovski. I don't know if he can hang with that type of pressure that Volkanovski loves to implement. I don't know if he can handle that and that weird tempo switching that he does. He'll be pushing you, then all of a sudden he'll just be waiting, shoot for a takedown, all of a sudden shoot up, try to do a weird uppercut that looks like he caught a cramp. Like Volkanovski is a savage, bro. I get why you say Israel Adesanya. I do think this would be I think this is close. I really do. Just like you're saying you believe Israel Adesanya is a little bit better. I think the same thing, just on the Volkanovski side. I just think Volkanovski is a little better. I don't think nobody should be killing you for picking Adesanya. I think the only people who will kill you are the people who don't watch MMA, if we're going to be honest.
There were about half of these that I thought there was a right answer and a wrong answer. This isn't one of them.
No.
Right,
This is one of the closest toss-ups that we have here. You're not going to give a wrong answer to this question.
Right, correct. So,
it's tied to me again. Let's go. I got to give respect to Alexander Volkanovski. The reason why I had to shave.
So, hold on. You're picking Alexander Volkanovski?
No, I'm just giving him my respect.
Yo,
the thing is, no.
Why am I on this show, man? I gotta be an idiot, dog. Like, why am I on this show?
Listen. Talking about pound for pound and the ability, I mean, Adesanya made that attempt to go up. Alexander Volkanovski, when he was playing Australian football, he was like 205, like 220. So I want to see him. He's done all he can. He beat Max Holloway twice. He beat Brian Ortega. He's got nothing left. I want to see him move up. That's what I want. I want to see him go and try and make the Adesanya do what Adesanya couldn't, and then I'll give him that nod. But right now, Israel Adesanya, he is the best striker in MMA right now.
And tried something you didn't try. I like that.
Yeah,
like that.
And I mean, even if Volkanovski goes up,
he lost.
Even if Volkanovski goes up and beats, say, I mean, it would have to be Oliveira, right? If he beats Oliveira, that's a different story. But just going up and winning, Adesanya, that jump from middleweight to, we're talking, that isn't just a 10-pound jump. It's 20 pounds. And it showed why boxing has a weight class every 7 pounds.
Yeah. It
showed with that Adesanya, and kudos to him. He went, he did it. But he is the best striker in MMA right now. And I just – you put him he's just a beast. Pound for pound wise, his skill is unmatched as far as striking goes.
I hope that Alexander Volkanovski goes up to lightweight. I want to see that. He becomes the double champion.
I'd like to see that too.
And immediately I want to be here. I want to be here and watch you guys say, man, he's Alexander Volkanovski. He's great. And I'm going to be here and say, him or Adesanya. Don't worry. Yo, Volkanovski, you need a lawyer? I got you, bro.
Adesanya is going to Well, I'd still pick Adesanya.
Nah, but all jokes aside, this really is a close one. Let's just be honest. This one really is. It really is a close one.
All right, now to round it out with the UFC, Kamaru Usman versus Israel Adesanya, the best striker in all of MMA and the best wrestler. Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, Pride. Who you got?
I feel like I'm gonna be in the minority here. I think this, by far, is the easiest matchup we've seen today. And it's Usman, and it's not even close. I think this is, if this fight were to ever happen, Israel Adesanya's tapping before Bruce Buffer even introduces him. Like, that's the type of stuff that, like, this dude is doing a Bob Sapp and tapping strikes, brother. Like, I don't think this is close. I got Usman. And I understand what you're saying because you believe Israel Adesanya is the best striker. I don't know, man. Because if he's the best striker, then Kamaru Usman is top 5 striker in the game. Because his striking and Israel Adesanya's striking, I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying he's a better. I don't know if he's a better striker than Usman. Not now, bro.
I'm not
Usman's
sure.
getting better.
I'm not sure anybody dominates Izzy like that, tapping on his way into the ring. There's heavyweights. I don't think I have that. But that said, I had just said that there were some right answer, wrong answer situations here. This is one of them. Usman's the right answer.
I thought you were going to say he was the wrong answer. I was about to say, Jared, if you
No.
that.
If you didn't have Usman coming out of this, then you magically slipped Khabib into the tournament. It's Usman right now.
Yeah, it is. Right answer, Kamaru Usman. And honestly, if Usman wanted to go up 15 pounds, I would love to see this fight actually happen. I think Usman would. Like,
no, I don't think
Joe
honestly,
loves to bring up the Vettori fight. They're friends. It'll never happen.
I was about to say, aren't they like butt buddies or something like that?
But
they're that cool.
Joe loves to bring up the Vettori fights with Adesanya. And Usman is definitely a better wrestler than Marvin Vettori. I think he can bring him down and do the one thing Vettori couldn't do. Keep him down and land strikes on the ground. I think Usman can honestly... He could Khabib-style maul Adesanya if they were to fight, and I think that'd be a fun fight.
And the thing is even though Adesanya has more weight to him, Usman is stronger.
Yeah,
like let that sink in. Like
wrestling strength is just different.
It's not even fair, man. Speaking of wrestling, did y'all see Brock Lesnar at 20? Yeah. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, go Google it. Look up Brock Lesnar when he was wrestling in college.
Yep,
at 20 years old. That right there tells me wrestling should be banned from every single sport. Because that just gives you like unfair muscles. Like you're like popping. It's almost like he was popping steroids without popping steroids. It's wild, bro. Dude was massive.
And then he went to the WWE and started popping steroids.
For real.
All right. Okay. I think this next quarter of the bracket is the toughest.
Yes.
Out of all of them.
Yes.
We're headed to boxing.
Yeah.
Starting us off, let's go Terrence Bud Crawford against Alexander Jared. Cover your mouth.
Cover your mouth. Usyk.
All right. Who you got, Jared?
This one's tough. I've long said that Crawford is one of the pound for pound best, but there's holes in his game that other really great, technically sound boxers don't have. I know I'm gonna catch flack for this one. I'm glad Joe isn't here because he would probably go in. But the better boxer here, one of these guys had 70 amateur fights and lost 12. The other one had 113 amateur fights and lost 16. Usyk was the better amateur, the better boxer. He just came up and beat the heavyweight gold medalist. Come on, pound for pound. Give me Alexander. Cover your mouth, Usyk. Over Bud Crawford for the pound for pound list.
All right. I like it. I love it. Pride, who you got?
So first and foremost, this list is completely invalid because Jake Paul isn't on it. Like you don't even have an undefeated fighter in Jake Paul, who is just knocking dudes out. This is completely absurd.
I'd like to see what Pena would do to him.
Bro, Pena would. We're literally getting paid to watch a live murder.
They're good. The Paul brothers would be Paul Bearers after that fight.
Look, I like Alexander. I like him. I don't know, Jared. You got to get the hate out your heart, brother. You got to get the hate out your heart, brother. You got to get that hate out your heart. Look, man. This might be a little too hot. Maybe if I get kicked from the show, so be it. I think Terrence Crawford has a legitimate resume, a legitimate reason, and is a legitimate contender to the pound for pound spot. To the point that if I were to see him be number one, I'm not mad. If you were to wake up tomorrow and you see Alexander at number one, you're going to be like, what? You're going to be confused.
Why?
Because he doesn't deserve to be number one, brother.
He's undefeated, and he just beat a gold medalist at heavyweight. He moved up and beat a gold medalist.
You know who else was undefeated? Jake Paul, who just knocked out a former UFC champion.
Oh. Yeah, but Jake Paul doesn't have the.
It was a joke. It was a joke. Relax. It was a joke. No, Jared, don't kill me. Don't kill me, Jared. I promise it was a joke.
I'm sure Ricky Burns would beat Anthony Joshua.
Now he's got 3 belts. See, Usyk has all the accolades, and yeah, he has everything that this is so hard. This is the hardest one to pick all day. Because the thing with Terrence Crawford is he's just so unique. He just is Terrence Crawford.
That's
like no one can do what he does in the ring. No one can really emulate it. Usyk just gets it done, and he's able to take it. But when you're talking about styles, I think pound for pound wise, yeah, I'm still gonna go with Bud. Like, any weight you throw on him, just with that style, with his movement, and I think with him switching stances, I think he can take care of anything. And Usyk, while he has all those accolades, I just think Terrence Crawford's just changing boxing.
He's unconventional, and it's why he could do all of those things. But in a general sense, from my perspective, those technically sound boxers, there aren't a lot of Roy Jones out there. Maybe Bud's one of them. You know, but most of the guys, they're not Chad Dawsons that are getting it done. They're Andre Wards. They're technically sound fighters that are doing everything right, a la Usyk. Crawford, those guys come around a lot less often, and I respect the pick, guys.
I'm just more excited that Jace finally came over here, bro. He finally came over here. That's my quarterback.
The thing, this boxing side, any one of these 4, like you could say, is number 1 pound for pound. And
unlike those other brackets, you could make the argument for literally all 4 of them that this is the greatest boxer pound for pound on the planet.
It's tough.
A legitimate argument.
Yeah. But now, let's go to the other side. Just as hard, Tyson, Fury, Canelo, Alvarez, Pride. Where are you going with this?
I don't want to answer this one, man. Here's the thing. So you know how usually we say there's no wrong answer? The sad part about this one, whoever you pick, you're going to be wrong. Let's just be honest. Like, This isn't a situation where there's no wrong answer. They're both wrong because you're discrediting one of them, and I just don't want to do that. I don't know. I feel like if I choose Canelo, I'm disrespecting Tyson. He's gonna burst in my house like the Kool-Aid Man and beat the bricks off me. But then at the same time, if I pick Tyson, Canelo's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you call me a mother effer. You talk about my mom." He's gonna beat the bricks off of me, like he did to Caleb Plant. So like, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. My life is legitimately in danger. If I have to pick, I'm gonna go Canelo. I am going it literally by the narrowest of margins. The only reason I'm going to take Canelo, just the fact, in my opinion, Canelo is putting together, and I think will have, arguably, the longest prime in the history of boxing. I believe that's something Canelo Alvarez is putting together, and we're literally witnessing history. When it comes to Tyson Fury, that's where he kind of loses me a little bit, because, he had to go home and he had to, reevaluate things. He had to go figure stuff out. Then he came back. When it comes to pound for pound, I'm not going to knock a guy for taking some time off, but I got to reward the dude who's been here, holding it down, taking on everybody and anybody who wants certain fights to happen. And the only reason they don't happen is either A, the other person backs out, or B, the commission's like, nah, bro, this is a mandatory. This dude, I mean, look, man, he wants to be the belt collector. That's his goal in life, is to be the belt collector. I think he does it. I'm going Canelo literally by the narrowest of margins. Jace, this is the one time if you pick Fury, I promise I won't be mad. Because like I said, this one right here, dumb close. And by the way, someone asked, what about Canelo getting suspended for PEDs?
That's true. Yeah.
Do it again. Do it again, Canelo.
He also blamed taco meat. Like, are you for real?
Which I'm not even gonna lie. If you're gonna blame taco meat, I need a lie detector. I need to do what they did with Barry Bonds. When they made him take a lie detector, I need to figure that out, dog. Because you tell me taco meat, I don't know, homie.
Why does it always go back to the border?
You said what?
Why does it always go back to the border? That was a Taco Bell joke.
Oh, right.
I'm gonna make the same argument here that you have to take 80 to 100 pounds off of Fury and give half of it to Canelo, and that pound for pound lists are just not made for heavyweights. The only big guys I like on my pound for pound list right now are Beterbiev and Usyk,
and that's their style.
Yeah, because they are technically sound and look like if they were 40 pounds lighter and a little quicker and had that skill, they could still hang. Fury, a lot of times he's laying on guys, mauling them, being 270 pounds and just winning like that. I have to say Canelo here. Pound for pound, this goes to Canelo. If they fight, Fury will beat him. Pound for pound, I like Canelo.
No. Yeah, it's Canelo just because, the weight. I mean, you can't. Tyson Fury, 6'9", right?
Yep.
That 270, like that, he just is able to use that height, that reach, and I mean, pound for pound wise, it's not the same. An earlier Fury, maybe when he was a little bit more mobile, a little cleaner. He's still great now. But yeah, Canelo, even though Canelo isn't fighting the guys we want to see him fight, he is still just taking care of business and being Canelo. So, all right, Canelo Alvarez. Moving on to face off against Terrence Bud Crawford. To round out boxing, Jared, who do you got?
We have a little disparity here because my winner got beat last round.
Now you know how I felt this entire episode.
Ah! I had Usyk over Canelo here.
Interesting.
I ended up with Alexander Usyk being my best pound-for-pound fighter, and I was okay with that at the end of it based on the fact that he just outboxed a guy who was a lot bigger and used all boxing stuff to do it. Like, watch the fights. It's what I say about Loma. It's the stuff I say about Katie Taylor. It's the stuff I said about Cyril Gane before he got here. Virgil Ortiz is worth keeping an eye on. They're passing the eye test, and the best boxer, technically, skill-wise, of these four, pound for pound, is Usyk.
Wow.
Oh, Bud Crawford, pound for pound against Canelo. Man, this is tough. Oh God, Canelo, I think, just stronger. Again, there's the PED violation, so sometimes you don't know what you're watching or you have your questions, but 9 times out of 10 when guys are Terrence Crawford, like I say, it's a different, stylistically, it's different. He reminds me of Chad Dawson. He reminds me of Roy Jones. It's not old school boxing, most technically sound fighter you've ever seen, but they find a way to get it done. And what usually happens to those guys is Antonio Tarver. So eventually is Andre Ward in the case of Chad Dawson. You run into a pure boxer that does those technically sound things better than you, and you lose those fights. And honestly, it's the argument I had Usyk over Crawford. It's kind of the same argument. I'm taking Usyk here, and I think I take Canelo over Crawford for the same reason. There are some holes in his game that you don't see with Loma when you watch him fight. And he makes them work because he's young, he's fast, twitch reflexes, things like that. He is an athletically gifted individual.
You got to get that hate out your heart. You got to get that hate out your heart. You got to get that hate out your heart, Jared. I don't know what he did. Maybe, I don't know, man. You got to get that hate out your heart. Now I'm be a complete and utter hypocrite and say Canelo. I'm gonna look at this video so get the hate out your heart and go with Canelo. Look, honestly, I don't think no matter what Bud Crawford can do, I just think we're looking at Canelo, a once in a generational talent. I just think he is the total package. I've seen this dude. Go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead. Yell at me.
He's puffing up. He's cutting too much. He's puffing up too big. He needs to move up a weight class. And Artur Beterbiev or Alexander Usyk only moved up because he couldn't get Canelo fight. This guy's not fighting the guys that will beat him. He went up and then he ran back down. This is Errol Spence putting on 7 pounds at the end of the fight and getting up and walking out on Bud Crawford. Moving up a weight class on his way out of the auditorium. That's the equivalent. Fight those guys. So, while I talk about the holes in Terrence Crawford's pure boxing skill, Canelo Alvarez has holes in who he's going to fight next game. There are way too many Liams and Calebs on his list.
But I don't think that's his fault.
And the reason he ran from Beterbiev.
No. I just think what he's trying to do, he wants to make history, right? Like being like the whole belt
with Billy Joe Saunders.
Whoa,
that's not how you make history.
Whoa, hold on. That Billy Joe Saunders, let's be honest, that was a very highly anticipated and very hyped up fight.
Good fight, but that's not how you make those Triple G fights. You can make history with those Triple G fights. But like Tony said, they were razor thin. I had Triple G winning those fights.
I don't know, man.
This is tough. I don't know, man. I want him to fight the guys I want him to fight. There's other guys close to his weight class that are ranked right there, and he's not fighting them.
Bro.
Usyk recently offered to fight Canelo at cruiser or lightweight.
Or light.
As long as he can keep his belt.
And he won't. Canelo won't fight Usyk, and he won't fight Beterbiev. And we know what happens if he does. I promise you, either one of those guys
I think he
beats
beats
Canelo.
Beterbiev. I think he beats him. I think Usyk, that one is like a flip of a coin. I'll be honest with you.
Those guys fought 3 times in the amateurs, Usyk and Beterbiev. Some of the best fights you'll some best.
No, I know. They're both. I like them both, you know. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Canelo's just too focused right now on making history surrounding the belts. That's just what it looks like to me. That's why we're really not getting a lot of the fights that, frankly, we want to see.
Yeah.
Because I do want to see him in Triple G before Triple G gets out. I'll be honest, because isn't Triple G like over 40 now? You know, he doesn't have those many fights left in him, if he even has any left in him at all. You know?
No, if Canelo goes back down there, I want to see him against an Andrade, a Charlo, even. Like he's got other fights to make. I love Canelo. I'm going Canelo here as well, as far as pound for pound. I like him, but he's just this picking stuff, like, makes some good fights. Like, even if he loses to an Andrade, that isn't a terrible loss. I mean, no one's really bashing him for the Floyd Mayweather loss because he was young.
But you're not going to beat John Ryder and go down in the annals of history as a pound-for-pound great. That's not the next step. This is the prime of your career. It can't be John Ryder, dude. It just can't be. There's plenty of guys. Go up and fight Boutzy. Go up, fight Joshua Boutzy. You'll probably win that fight. He's a light heavyweight. He's undefeated. He's respected. Just fight somebody that makes sense for you to be fighting.
I mean, and look, in terms of like I said, there are certain Canelo fights that I want to see. You know what I mean? To see whether or not that he'll be great or not. But I don't know. I don't think that. I think Canelo measures his greatness different from other people. I'm trying to give you a tablet, and then you're throwing it at me.
All right, now let's go. The final 4. Starting it off, the women's side. Valentina Shevchenko, Katie Taylor, Jared, who is the female pound-for-pound GOAT right now?
This sucks. Jace, you know what's going on for me right now. Katie's aging. She's looked a little susceptible from time to time recently. And if one of them is in the middle of their prime and one is toward the back half, right now, this might be Shevchenko, man. And I hate saying that out loud. But Father Time's undefeated.
Wow. I have no choice but to agree. Like I said, Katie Taylor, in terms of boxing, she shows everyone. You know, Katie Taylor, she's a great athlete. But notice how I said athlete. Right? Notice how, you know, when you call Katie Taylor, you call her a boxer. She's a good puncher. Valentina Shevchenko is not human. This is not a human being. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we are, like, what we're doing here is getting someone who's really good and then trying to put them against Hercules. Like, you know those video games where, like, the final boss is way too gigantic and you're just looking and you're like, huh. And you just turn off the console? That's what this is. Kate Tier's going to look. She goes, huh. Okay. All right. Where's my Uber? Like, let's be honest. She's pulling an AB and pulling, like, and she's out.
Oh, yeah, but 2-3 years ago, I'm taking Taylor here.
2-3 years ago, this is a completely different conversation. Let's not get it twisted. But right here, right now, I think it's Valentina, bro. And I think there's a wide gap. And again, I'm saying this now. A couple years back, this is a completely different conversation. Let's just get that out the way. But as of right now, you got to go Valentina.
I no. I'm going Katie Taylor. Like we've seen Katie. They've all fought great. Like Pursoon. That's a great win for Katie Taylor. She did twice. She's only lost one judge's scorecard
ever. Yeah, true.
So I don't know. Yeah, she's getting up there, but I mean, it's still she's still being Katie Taylor. She's still taking care of business. And Shevchenko, I mean, we've seen her. Amanda Nunes was able to get it done against her, and that was her toughest opponent as far as pound for pound goes. And Katie Taylor handled her business against Pursoon. And you want to talk about? I think Shevchenko, she does so much well, and it's hard comparing boxing to UFC because I mean Shevchenko can take it anywhere, but Katie Taylor just technically sound boxing. Yeah, I'm still gonna go Katie Taylor. Shevchenko's moving on, but
I just want to say one thing. It's so bizarre being on the same side with Jared and listening to Jace be like say something.
That third one, yeah.
You know what I mean? So now it's like, is this how Jace and Jared feel like when I'm going on my thing when I'm by myself? Like, I'm like, is this how it feels? I'm like, and Jace, I understand why you want Katie Taylor because don't get it twisted. Look, no disrespect to Katie Taylor, you know what I mean? Like, she's legit, but we need to put something in context, right? Like you said, Katie Taylor handles business. Business does Valentina. Let's just be honest, bro. Like the standards are completely different. Like if Valentina Shevchenko goes out there, like let's put this in perspective. If Valentina Shevchenko goes to decision, that's considered a disappointment. Let's be fair here. That's considered a disappointment. When Katie Taylor, if she goes to decision, it's fine.
It's what we thought was going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So all I'm saying is like, you know what I mean? Like,
but so regardless, she's still outclassing her opponent every.
Right, but again, there's a difference between outclassing
and dominating
and dominating and dominating, man.
Dude, I am getting anxiety. My stomach is starting to hurt making an argument against Katie Taylor. I love this girl, man. I know her personally. Like, this is not.
It's so awkward.
I feel good. This was the hardest one for me. That boxing, that lower left boxing bracket, all four of those fighters, you could pick any one of them and make a valid argument. But this, which pound for pound in their sport, this was really, really tough for me.
Brutal. All right.
That was tough.
Now let's move on. Yeah, I think it only going to continue to get tough. Kamaru Usman versus Canelo Alvarez, who will move on to face Valentina in the finals. Pride.
I feel like I'm being unfair. Jeez, man. All right. Let me preface this by saying this. I love Canelo. I love Kamaru Usman. I just want to preface that real quick. I got to commit. I'm going Kamaru. I got to commit. Canelo, like I said, Canelo is showing us the longest prime in the history of boxing, right? I believe at the end of the day, it will be one of, if not the longest. Kamaru Usman is dominating a division and is still getting better. I'm going to say that one more time. Canelo is who he is. Kamaru Usman is dominating a division, is the number one pound for pound in the UFC, and you couple that with the fact that he is somehow still getting better. Jared, imagine this. Have this, let's have a conversation, Jared, because I see you're on the fence. Let me ask you a question. Imagine if you weren't even you were a decent artist, but you're the best artist in your respective company, a top tier company. You haven't even reached your peak. And you're looking at your art and you're like, man, this slash looks weird. I use the color red a little too much. I don't know. Should I throw in purple? I don't know. And you see all this stuff, and then you make another painting, and it's better. And you're still head, shoulders, knees and toes above everybody else. And you're still getting better? And I got a better man. It's Usman? Nah, bro, I'm going Usman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this one, I believe that I agree with you and believe there's a right answer. Love all these comments. Tougher opponents in a harder sport. I don't know about harder sport. That's a great debate. MMA versus boxing. What's the harder sport? I'm going boxing, by the way, but tougher opponents, absolutely. Strength of opposition goes to Usman. Question marks about Canelo. Usman's dominating the best there. All the people that we want to see him fight, that's who he's fighting, and he's still getting better. Blown through the top contenders, some of them twice. This is Kamaru Usman, but again, I have to footnote that the person who won this fight on my bracket was named Alexander Usyk.
Wow. That's crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. All right.
You got to get the hate out your heart, man. Now, come
Oh,
on.
I
Usman
think
hate.
I'm not
it's
mad
gonna
at
hate
that.
from cover
I'm
your
not
mouth.
mad
That
at that.
Usyk is that
I'm
good.
not mad at
Usyk
that.
is that good.
I'm not mad at that. I like that. I'm not mad at that take. But
If
I mean,
Israel Adesanya had beat Volkanovski, if Izzy had moved up and won that fight, we'd be talking about him on pound for pound all day because he beat a bigger guy and had to move up to do it.
Yeah.
Why is Usyk moving up to heavyweight and beating a gold medalist? Not somebody that you look on his pound for pound list. Canelo moved up and beat an old man and then moved back down.
you want to know what it is, Jared? You want to know what it is? It's Andy Ruiz.
Yes. That's
It's
the
Andy
only
Ruiz.
reason Usyk isn't getting the credit he deserves here.
It's
is
Andy
Andy
Ruiz.
Ruiz. Yep.
So, but
Fought out of his mind one night, and Usyk's not getting what he should get. He fought a bigger guy. He came up to do it. He beat a heavyweight gold medalist. This guy fought at light heavyweight in the amateurs. Came up to fight at heavyweight and beat the heavyweight champion. Who does that? Who's the last guy did that? Came up from light heavyweight. We're talking about
Damn. Making me rethink everything now.
Evander Holyfield.
Jace, don't do that,
Is it
Jace.
Evander Holyfield?
Jace, don't do that.
Is
Jace.
Evander Holyfield the last guy who's done that? And is
yes.
he a pound for pound all-time great? Is James Toney the last guy? That era? Is Chris Bird the last time a light heavyweight came up and started beating heavyweights? Roy Jones Jr. coming up to fight John Ruiz, and we all went, well, he's got to be on that list now. Why is Usyk not getting that? I think you're right. Ruiz is the answer to that question. But keep watching this guy's fights. Beterbiev and Usyk, Jace, when we started this show, there were a couple names I threw down just because I wanted to have them out there. Cyril Gane and Alexander Usyk have done everything I said they were going to do, and none of those other guys have lost yet either. Savannah Marshall beats Clarissa Shields. Come on back to boxing, Clarissa. Take this ass whooping.
She's not going back to boxing.
She is. She vacated her belts to move up. But all right. Just to put
But
the
she
nail
won't
in
fight
the coffin.
Savannah Unana.
Just to put the nail in the coffin here. I got Usman as well. I mean, look at their greatest fights, greatest rivalries. Canelo Triple G. There are a lot of question marks with those. With Kamaru Usman, his greatest rivalry against Covington, no question marks there. He handled his business. Maybe Masvidal, no question marks there. He just handled his business. Usman on another level. He decides whether he wants to stand up or take it to the ground. He just, like you said, pride just constantly getting better, constantly. He also very weird, can't take him down. He's just dominating, and it sucks that. It doesn't suck. It sucks that Canelo Alvarez and boxing doesn't have a Dana White or the UFC type thing where they are fighting the best guys.
Because a lot of this stuff with like, oh, Canelo not fighting who we want him to fight, or people just ducking, all that would literally just be erased. There would be no problem. By the way, I just want to throw it out there. Another reason why Kamaru Usman needs to be number one. If you could literally beat the respect into Colby Covington, you immediately are like at least top 2. So let's just throw that out there, bro. Yeah. Colby Covington giving him respect. Like what? On live TV? What?
Yeah. But I mean, back to my prior point, boxing is struggling, not making those fights, not finding those fights that don't have the commission forcing the fights. And you can see this as our finals are both the UFC fellas, both UFC women's in Shevchenko and Kamaru Usman.
Well, Jared had
Usyk.
Jared did have Usyk.
Had Usyk, so
my tournament winner lost in the first round.
Your bracket's been busted, my friend.
Bud busted my bracket.
All right. Who is the throwing jabs pound for pound GOAT to start off 2022? Jared?
Usman, because I don't have something beside. I don't have an active fighter's name to throw at him. Shevchenko, I'll throw Pena, I'll throw Nunes. There are fights I want to see. There are people, not that I don't want to watch Usman fight. You understand what I'm saying? I just don't have names to throw out there like, maybe this guy, and this guy can beat him. I don't really have those. Shevchenko, I have those. I think that'll be a really close fight. I think Usman is the dominant, the pound for pound, him MMA, Usyk in boxing, if we're not counting Beterbiev because he's not on the list. But give me Usman here, I think.
There's no I think, Jared. It's Usman. Okay? Usman solos everyone, bro. Look, like I said, man, imagine this. You're the best at what you do, and you're still not at your best. That in and of itself is special. Because we need to take into consideration Roy Jones. When he hit his stride, he was at his prime. George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, Sugar Shane Mosley, all these dudes. And if you want to go to the other side, GSP, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, anyone from the Gracie family that you want to put in, they all, as soon as you saw them hit their Chael Sonnen, Anderson Silva, they all hit a peak. And then they had a consistent peak. This might be one of the only fighters in any sport, in any combat sport, matter of fact, in any sport, period, to finish his career never hitting his peak. Let that sink in one time. At the rate Usman is going, he's dominating everyone, and there is a legitimate chance right now that he will never hit his peak.
I like that. Good take. I'm gonna go ahead and touch on some of the things Sanders said. Islam Makhachev, absolutely. Keep an eye on that guy. He and Chimanev. We had that conversation not too long ago. And Berlanga and Maiquan Williams. I'm glad you asked about both at the same time. Berlanga has something special. He's not really good at everything, but he does a couple things really good. Maiquan Williams is the opposite, my boy. He's really good at everything, but doesn't have that one thing that's really... I like them both good fighters. Maiquan's a personal friend of mine. I'd say they're both slightly overrated locally. I see Berlanga getting into wars and having trouble keeping the hype going. And I see Maiquan outboxing people enough to stay relevant for a couple years. But Maiquan also was in a car accident last January, about a year ago, and didn't fight all of last year. So we'll see how his wrist recovers after the car accident. It's treacherous timing for Mike Wang. But both of these guys are good. I'm not sure you're ever going to get what you want to get from them, Sander, unfortunately. Because, like I said, I like those guys.
All right. Back to this rounded off. Kamaru Usman wins it. I mean, like he's just taking care of business. Like Shevchenko's fighting the who's its and what's its of the flyweights. Because she's cleared it out. But Usman's double dipping. I think both these guys, they need. I will say, in my bold predictions we did last week, I said Usman was going to lose to Chimaev. So, I mean, I feel kind of bad saying this, that he is the pound-for-pound GOAT, because I do think he's going to get dethroned. But,
do it.
Yeah. And I still, even if he handles Chimaev, I need to see that Usman Khabib fight. That'll never happen.
There's besides Chimaev, everybody knows how much I like this Chimaev kid, but there's one more guy I think in that division that's worth paying attention to when it comes to somebody actually beating Usman, and that's Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad. Yes, this guy just keeps getting better, keeps getting stronger. You know, like Pride was just saying, he hasn't reached his peak yet. It doesn't look like. It looks like he's just still getting better. And it's another person worth looking out. Everybody picked Leon Edwards, and he was whooping Leon's backside before he threw that illegal shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Leon Edwards is another guy. His name comes up a lot, but, I mean, Usman already handled business. It would be an interesting rematch, but, like, I don't really want to see it. Like, that's what Usman – I don't really want to see anyone fight Usman, but, like, Khabib and Chimaev. Those are the two – anyone else who fights Usman, like, I'm like, okay, Usman's just going to handle his business. I'll watch it. I'll watch the greatness, but there's no one else I really, like, want it. I mean, that's just how dominant he is. How great. So, our pound-for-pound GOAT, current pound-for-pound GOAT, Kamaru Usman. And like I said at the top of the show, this was just a test. Come March Madness, we're going to do a bigger bracket for the all-time pound-for-pound GOAT.
Nice.
So that should be interesting.
You gotta want me here for that, because I'll burn everything to the ground.
Well, should be fun. All right. That's going to do it as far as the fights go. Nothing tonight. I mean, next week we'll get back talking about fights. We have, I think the UFC starts back up. I think there's a couple boxing ones as well. So we'll figure it out. Stay tuned. Tune back in next week, and we'll talk about it then. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you check out clovercrestmedia.com. And big shout out to JPEX Financial for sponsoring today's episode. We're going to end the show like we always do. Pride, thank you for joining us. We're going to end the show like we always do.
Thank you for having me, fellas. Thank you.
Yeah. Jared, hit us with that flurry, brother.
As a lot of people know, when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of friends, didn't participate in a lot of activities. I was kind of a social outcast. And I guess the point of this is when you reach out to somebody or make that step, you never really understand the difference that you could be making in somebody's life. And I realize how cliche that sounds, but the story goes, I'm in grade school and I'm left after school. Mom's late picking me up, and I'm on the basketball court, and I'm, just having a general shoot around. Getting picked on and stuff, and kind of shooting around by myself. And then somebody says, let's play a game. And whenever anybody was going to play a basketball game, it meant that if there were more than 10 people, I was sitting out. So my first thing was to count the number of people on the court. There were 9, and I saw 2 more kids jogging over, making 11, and that meant I wasn't going to get picked. And we're all lining up and stuff. And I turn around. I had just turned around to walk away. And one of the captains with his first pick says, "I'll take Jared." And I'm just like I thought I heard him wrong, or there was another Jared or something. I ran over there, played the game. But I left there thinking that if that ever happened again, I really wanted to shine. And started playing basketball every day. And there's a few moments that I feel like kind of made scraps. That when all those 10 people get picked and there's 32 kids there, there ought to be something for the other 22 to do. I was always in that leftover group that really didn't have anything to do, and then fell in love with boxing and made scraps as kind of a place for those other people. But I started playing basketball all the time, like I said, wanting to get back to that situation and really, really shine. But the things that just picking me for his team did to my future, to my ability to see myself as somebody who could do something, and to eventually build scraps and a spot for all different kinds of people, to give everybody kind of room to succeed. But yeah, when I was in high school, one of the cool kids named Tyler Olson picked me first for a basketball game. And I'm sure he has no recollection of it, and it didn't really mean much to him at the time, just kind of being the nice guy. Nowadays, things are a lot different than they were back in the 80s. Nowadays, every water boy autistic kid gets to run for a touchdown during the scrimmage. But it wasn't always like that. And when you make an attempt to bring somebody in, there's no telling what difference that could make in their life. And I wasn't going to say this part, but I feel like it kind of gives a little more depth to what I'm talking about. I remember making friends with a frog once. I was out in the woods and I found a frog, and I figured this frog could be my friend and help me build this fort I was trying to build. And then I started getting angry at the frog because everything I did, he was criticizing me. And it took me a long time to figure out that my conditioning, that all the people around me were talking to me like that. So I inherently believed that this frog didn't like me and thought everything I was doing was trash and that I had no value. And I started to hate the frog, who had nothing to do with anything. So Tyler Olson was that kid's name that picked me for his basketball team. And I just wanted to thank him and let him know that he changed the course of my life, probably with very little effort and probably no recollection of even doing it. I'm a pretty good basketball player now, but I also built an organization that picks all of those kids first and makes room for everyone. Thanks, guys.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jace, Clovercrest, top three corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut, got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing. Counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrubs to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is Throwing Jabs.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Burn, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.